Many have spent their lives in search of immortality. The thought of impending death scares many, and rightfully so. This fear causes many to pursue healthy habits, hoping to fight against the inevitable. Except for some. They look directly into the eyes of the Grim Reaper and say, "Come and get it, come and get it." I'm not here for a long time. I'm here for a good time. One fearless and downright hilarious man laid the groundwork for this philosophy. Known for drunken fistfights and smoking more cigarettes than Russ Cole during interrogation. Middle finger in the air and a glass of whiskey in the other, he showed the old adage is probably true. Nice guys really do finish last. Hey everyone, my name is Jared and this is History Bits, the channel where a guy who nearly failed out of high school teaches you about history's most influential figures. The incredible man that we're talking about today is none other than Jackie Gleason. Of all the videos that we've done on this channel, I probably enjoyed researching this one the most. With the more research that I did, I began to embody Jackie. It was like I was being sucked into this vortex where I started picking up all of his habits and his tendencies.
Hey bartender, bring me another scotch on the rocks. And this time, don't forget the rocks.
Except for the mustache. I cannot get on board with that mustache. This is a man that every kid in history class would have remembered if he had been mentioned. The straight-A student that actually did their homework, or the high school dropout that did so in Gleason's footsteps. Getting monetized on here is hard work. Stay in school, kids. Jackie was one of the most popular entertainers of the 20th century. Best known for his iconic character Ralph Kramden on the television sitcom The Honeymooners, Gleason became a household name in American comedy. His work as a comedian, actor, writer, musician, and producer helped shape the landscape of television and pop culture for years to come. Oh yeah, and don't forget, he sold millions of albums too. In this video, we're going to take a hard look at Jackie Gleason, his life, his success, and most importantly, his extraordinary debauchery. Because come on, you don't earn the nickname The Great One by living a mediocre life. They say the brightest candles burn the fastest, but not this time. John Herbert Gleason was born on February 26, 1916 in Bedford-Stuyvesant. Yes, that Bedford-Stuyvesant, in Brooklyn, New York. Raised in a working-class Irish neighborhood, hence the green light, green hat, Irish. His early life was marked by hardship. To start off his young life, his older brother died from meningitis in 1919, leaving Gleason as the only child. His father worked a few odd jobs such as a laborman and an insurance salesman and was often absent. And that was until he became completely absent, ditching the family when Jackie was just 9 years old. This pushed his mother into a tough spot, working multiple jobs to support the two of them. Despite his financial struggles, Jackie developed a passion for the entertainment business from a very young age. He dropped out of high school at 16 to work in a series of different jobs, all the while nurturing his love for comedy and performing. He ran the streets and spent a lot of time at pool halls where he could work so that he could earn extra money. This experience would help him land iconic roles in his later years. But during his teenage years, he would develop his passion for performing by serving as an MC at different theaters around Brooklyn. However, another disaster struck when he was just 19. His mother began experiencing a nasty health problem. She developed a bacterial infection on her neck, and instead of seeing a doctor, Jackie's mother asked instead if he could handle it. Tragically, his efforts ended up giving her sepsis, and she passed away in 1935. With his brother, father, and mother now gone, he was on his own and completely broke. Like 36 cents broke. Like didn't have a dollar in his pocket broke. When his mother died, he left Brooklyn. He had his sights set on Manhattan to try to follow his passion for entertainment. Although his girlfriend offered to take him in and begged him to stay, he knew he had to take a risk and really go for it if he was ever going to become a star. This desperate time in Jackie's life would lay the groundwork for his eventual superstardom. In the early stages of his entertainment life, he was actually introduced to a talent booker named Solly Shaw, who got him a gig at a place called Tiny Chateau. His first act was so bad that the owner of the place took him over to the payphone, put the change in, and called Solly to ask why the hell he sent over this bum. That's a direct quote.
Emotional, damn it!
However, after taking pity on how bad Gleason's performance went, he bought him a drink. Then he bought him another, and then another, and then an entire bottle. And about 15 drinks later, Gleason went up on stage for the second time that night and lit the place on fire.
Here, use this!
He realized that liquid confidence was going to be essential to his success. And man, was he right. Many of the early clubs that he performed at were kind of gritty establishments. These were a lot of dive bars with angry drunks that would fight you at the drop of a hat if you dared to insult them or try to do any crowd work. But doing comedy back then really took some balls. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say this is not the type of place that Matt Rife would thrive. Which reminds me of a crazy Jackie story. One night, while doing a set at a New Jersey comedy club, Jackie was being heckled relentlessly by a guy in the crowd. Everything he said, this guy had a wise-ass comment for. He looks in the crowd and says, "If you guys give me a few minutes, I'm gonna take this guy into the alleyway and kick his ass." The next thing he remembers, he has cold water being splashed on his face, and his back is against the wet pavement of a New Jersey alleyway. Turns out, the guy that he picked the fight with was named Tony Galento, who would end up being a world champion boxer in the years to come. When he wasn't getting in fights in back alleys of New Jersey, he was at the Toots Shore restaurant, having a drink, or 18. Toots became Jackie's favorite drinking buddy. Many a night, they would see who could slam the most scotch. And while Jackie usually won, there were stories about him becoming so drunk that he would fall off of his bar stool and sleep on the floor while patrons stepped over his snoring corpse. During this time, Jackie became notorious for borrowing money to fund his extravagant lifestyle. He might have owed everyone money, but was always willing to buy everyone in the bar around. Toots speculated that at one point Jackie owed him more than $10,000. He did ultimately repay him when he got rich, though. He would do a lot of crowd work at celebrity hangout clubs in Manhattan, and this is eventually how he got his big break. The head of Warner Brothers, Jack Warner, walked in, and when Gleason noticed him, he began to insult him so hilariously that the entire restaurant erupted into laughter.
Oh my God, that is funny!
Warner loved his quick wit and his sharp tongue, ultimately signing him to a contract for $250 a week. Gleason's early work in show business was largely radio. It was there he built his comedic timing and character work, which would later become his signature on television. His big break in television came in the late 1940s when he was asked by CBS to do the Jackie Gleason Show. Premiering in 1952, the show was a perfect fit for his talents, combining comedy sketches, musical numbers, and celebrity guests. What set the show apart was Gleason's versatility. He would alternate between playing outrageous characters to lighthearted musical performances. While the show went through various formats over the years, it's best remembered for the Honeymooners sketches. These sketches featured Jackie as the lovable, but often frustrated Ralph Kramden, a poor bus driver from Brooklyn that was always looking for a get-rich-quick scheme. This character became one of the most iconic roles in television history, known for his catchphrase, "Bang, zoom, to the moon!"
Sorry you had to see that.
The Honeymooners sketches were so influential that they are responsible for the creation of the Flintstones. You've seen the Flintstones. The real genius of Jackie lied in his versatility. As an actor, writer, musician, and producer, he went on to achieve many things. Now filled with cash in his pockets, he started to fund many other projects. One massive success was his venture into romantic orchestra music that he paid to have created. He couldn't write or play the music himself, but he knew what sounded good, and he paid a small fortune to have the music produced. Basically, he was me on group projects in college. After partnering with Columbia Records, he would go on to sell millions of albums. Now a big-time superstar in more ways than one, Jackie's personal life became even more unbelievable. On-screen, he was a master of comedy, while off-screen, he was known for his unpredictable and animated personality. His drinking often added to his wild reputation, earning him the nickname The Great One. Not only for his talent, but his absurd behavior. And guess who gave him that nickname? Orson Welles. You know, one of the greatest filmmakers in history. One of the most notable aspects of Gleason's drinking was his fondness for whiskey, particularly scotch. Whether at a party, a poker game, or even on set, although he denies drinking on the job, I think we can all agree he was probably drinking on the job. He seemed to embody the idea of the entertainer who lived life to the fullest, often leading his friends and guests through night-long drinking marathons. He would throw ragers in his NYC penthouse that would last until the wee hours of the morning, and then kick back up after room service brought up some pancakes, bacon, and about 10 more bottles of champagne. With all the drinking, Jackie had to add cigarettes into the mix. About 5 or 6 packs a day. On one insane occasion, immediately after having open-heart surgery, Jackie demanded a cigarette and in his hospital bed, smoked a cigarette. The world used to be such a different place. Oh my God. Jackie was an avid gambler, and his friendships with fellow celebrities and sports stars usually involved late-night poker games or other activities. Like the rumors that he used to get drunk and take Joe DiMaggio to Central Park and hit him fly balls so he could get a little bit of extra practice at nighttime. And he refused to take himself too seriously. While some actors honed their craft and seemed obsessive about their preparation, Gleason became infamous for his unorthodox style. He hated rehearsing because he felt comedy was best authentic. So he never prepared, even made a body double go through scenes with other actors while he sat around drinking scotch and smoking cigarettes. Even with his massive success on screen, he didn't really have a passion for acting, nor did he really consider it an art form. Preparing lines was just a waste of time to Jackie, and this drove his co-stars crazy because he didn't read the scripts and would just improvise. And they didn't really possess the quick wit that Jackie had, so they would be so anxious that they couldn't keep up with him because he always knew the fastest, funniest thing to say and tore up the script just minutes before they went on stage. But with his naturally comedic style, it always seemed to work and reinforced his unique habits. Just how different was Jackie from other actors? Well, let's see. When a TV network offers someone $9 million, they usually take it. Jackie? CBS offered him a contract for $9 million over 2 years. He was so unfazed by this that he and Salvador Dali hit every watering hole in the city the night before the big meeting. When he showed up to the negotiating table, he was so hammered that he literally fell asleep. Well, that's not the entirety of the story. He showed up, demanded a couple beers, cracked the beers, guzzled them down, and then passed out right there on the table. CBS was so impressed by his indifference that they caved and they gave him the extra $2 million that he was looking for. So he signed a 2-year, $11 million contract. You're probably thinking, $11 million, that's a nice chunk of change. This was in 1955. $11 million was a ton of money, about $130 million in 2024. And since we're on the subject of Jackie's drinking stories, how about the one where he was having a drink with Toots Shor and J. Edgar Hoover? Yes, that J. Edgar Hoover. Frank Sinatra rolls in to let the boys know that he has tickets to watch the Brooklyn Dodgers face the New York Giants in the NLCS playoff game. Jackie had no interest in going. He was planning on staying at Toots' restaurant all day and drinking, but after Hoover and Sinatra begged him and begged him and begged him to go to the baseball game that was going to be the game of the century, he finally obliged. Mainly because Sinatra booked a private limo for the boys and basically bottomless scotch. Which I can't blame him. That sounds like a hell of an opportunity. Hang out with Frank Sinatra and drink bottomless scotch. While the limo is riding up the island of Manhattan, he devoured hot dogs and washed them down with cream buns, his nickname for Scotch on the Rocks. At the most crucial part of the game, Bobby Thompson hits one of the most iconic home runs in the history of the sport. And in this very moment, Jackie projectile vomits all over Frank Sinatra and J. Edgar Hoover. And that right there is why I love history so much. But still,
Wait for it.
it gets better. Jackie had an affinity for UFOs so deep that it could make Tom DeLonge look like a skeptic. If you guys don't know who Tom DeLonge is off the top of your head, he's the "Where are ya?" guy from Blink-182. He is completely obsessed with UFOs. He's been to the Pentagon, been to the White House, he's done it all. Gleason was so infatuated that he had a house built in the shape of a UFO in upstate New York. To stay consistent, this house was outfitted with 16 bars. He also claimed that while he was playing a round of golf with Richard Nixon, that Nixon took him to a top-secret government facility and showed him the bodies of mangled aliens that they had recovered from a crash site. Naturally, Gleason was very shaken up by this. His wife said that it changed him for the rest of his life, but can you really blame the guy? Since this is obviously a Jackie Gleason story extravaganza, I can't not mention the Great Gleason Express. Gleason was promoting his return to television as the host of a new variety show. Instead of buying a newspaper ad, Jackie chartered a train and went on a cross-country tour. The 5-car Gleason special, which cost $90,000 for the 10-day trip, carried his company of TV performers and a 6-piece jazz band. At his tour stops, he would spend his time gambling at the racetrack, the pool hall, and on the golf course. And while on the train, he was surrounded by attractive women, dancing to the live music. All the while, you can imagine the amount of drinks and smokes ingested on that ride. It's true that Jackie, he knew how to have a good time as much as anyone that's ever lived. Sadly, every good time must come to an end. Gleason's drinking was often romanticized in the public eye, in an era when excessive drinking was a badge of honor for entertainers. While Jackie's drinking helped fuel his public persona, it also had significant personal costs, affecting his relationships and his health. Because in all reality, all he really wanted to do was party with his boys. He was married 3 times and was kind of a deadbeat dad, but you know, you guys don't care about morality on this channel. You're just looking to be entertained. If you're looking for that crap, go over to Ryan Holiday's channel. Oh God, my God, dude, I hope my in-laws never watch this. His health ultimately deteriorated due to his drinking and other habits, struggling with weight gain, high blood pressure, and heart problems. Jackie Gleason died of cancer on June 24th, 1987, at the ripe old age of 71. His death marked the end of an era in American television, but his legacy will be remembered forever on and off the screen. Jackie Gleason's party lifestyle was a defining aspect of his personal and professional life. On one side, a source of his energy, creativity, and charm. On the other, a destructive force that led to his impending doom. Jackie's relationship with partying mirrors his career, full of dazzling moments with a sense of inevitability about the outcome. And that's really the point of this video. Would you rather live like Jackie, who he really lived in his 71 years? Or would you rather live like the longevity gurus who eat quinoa and lentils and they go to bed at 5 p.m.? I'm definitely leaning more towards Jackie than I am going to bed at 5 p.m. We all have the same outcome. We can try to fight it, or, like Jackie, we can accept it and truly live our best lives. Most would be lucky to see 70 years old, and Jackie did it without even trying. So I end this video with a toast to the great one.